Minister, you're welcome to the House, and I suppose it's a happy day for people in government. It has been. There's something for everybody in the audience, and we should all be cheering. It would be remiss of me to stand here today and not to find something wrong. So from that point of view, Budget 25 has proved one thing to me, and that is that Ireland is not a poor country by any measure. Indeed, our economy outperforms the economies of our EU peers for the most part. The question is, are we good Europeans? So let me start with my normal area, and that is defence. Today, I welcome the additional 400 members allocated to the Defence Forces. I welcome the additional 100 million for the defence and the extension of the naval tax credit. They are all excellent things going forward. However, I believe that spending money on an organisation that's faltering is folly, unless government first fixes the underlying problems. In need of immediate action are the following: pay. The pay of the Defence Forces has not been fixed, contrary to what has been spread out there at the moment. What we've done is we've bottom-loaded pay. We have increased the pay of private soldiers on completion of their training, and we've increased the pay of cadets and young officers. But what we haven't done is increased the differentials. So, for example, a private moving to the rank of corporal can expect, I think it's about €7 a week. What we should have done was kept the differentials the whole way up to incentivise people to seek higher rank, and we haven't done that. And that has resulted in highly qualified people walking out of the Defence Forces that we, the Irish taxpayers, have invested heavily to give them the skills they have. They're taking those skills with them when they leave. The second one from your own department, Minister, long before you entered that department, the post-2013 pension scheme. What a bloody disaster. They bring in a pension scheme that is simply not fit for purpose. They try to apply one rule fits all. When you have people on accelerated pensions, like our frontline services of Defence Forces, Garda, Fire Service and prison officers, the post-2013 pension scheme is an incentive to walk out the door. Indeed, we see Gardaí, I think there's over 1,000 Gardaí gone in the last 12 months because there is no point in staying. So clearly people are voting with their feet. In the defence area, the Working Time Directive, we've been messing around with the Working Time Directive for as long as I've been in this House, and that's 10 years now. And I don't see any positive moves in bringing in the Working Time Directive. Again, in the area of pay, specialist pay in the Defence Forces is something that's of great concern. And we're talking about bringing in 400 recruits over the next 12 months, but we're not paying our Defence Force instructors sufficient money to keep them. So the risk that we're going to lose instructors is great. I find myself wondering today if countless Irish governments have been ideologically opposed to being a sovereign state, to Ireland being a sovereign state. I wonder if the government are aware of their duties with respect to sovereignty of a nation. Do they know that their responsibility is to protect our citizens, our borders, land and sea and air? Within government, is there even the slightest embarrassment when ministers meet their peers abroad and we have surrendered responsibility for our airspace to a NATO country while waffling on about neutrality and we remain dependent on the generosity of EU states to monitor the Atlantic Ocean for us? To our shame, unlike our neighbouring countries such as Norway and the United Kingdom, France, Spain, Portugal and Iceland, Ireland lacks primary military radar, quick reaction alert capabilities, which are crucial for effective air policing. Ireland has a duty to protect the numerous undersea cables passing through our waters. We also have a duty to be able to monitor the high volume of transatlantic flights traversing our airspace. Recent arms shipments to Israel passing through our airspace insinuates the need for significantly safeguard our national air sovereignty. On this very question, the Taoiseach Minister for Defence, when asked about our ability to police our airspace, replied that this would not be feasible in the Irish context. So it appears that despite our wealth, the government are happy to freeload on the generosity of our neighbours. I believe that Taoiseach is wrong. Indeed, a retired Brigadier General and an Air Corps Lieutenant Colonel, retired, pilot instructor, have identified a solution to the monitoring and security of our area of the Western European airspace. They explain that air policing, a peacetime capability, involves monitoring airspace, identifying aerial threats, and intercepting and escorting rogue or unidentified aircraft out of the Irish airspace. They say to bridge our capability, and this is in the context of 14 billion coming in from the Apple tax, they say to bridge our capability gap, Ireland must promptly develop a meaningful air policing capability. This would entail an estimated initial capital investment of 350 million for aircraft procurement, along with an additional annual cost of 20 million for crewing and maintenance. It's not as huge a figure as people constantly talk about. It's quite an affordable figure. They recommend the procurement of the Korean FA-50 or the Swedish Saab Gripen, or Gripen should I say, and the most suitable aircraft types. Both aircraft are advanced supersonic jets, training capabilities, and can be converted to combat use, enabling high altitude and high speed intercepts. They propose Shannon Airport as the most operationally suitable location to station Irish intercept aircraft. Situated on Ireland's west coast, this aligns with the most probable approach paths for rogue or unidentified aircraft from the west to and northwest. They estimate that the air policing operation could potentially employ 200 Air Corps personnel along with their families, resulting in a workforce of 1,000 people in the Shannon region, in line with government policy for regional development and employment. As I speak today, the Taoiseach has advised Irish citizens in Lebanon to leave there immediately. Shamefully, our so-called sovereign nation does not have any aircraft to evacuate these citizens. No doubt we will freeload on any country willing to carry our people. Let me turn to cybersecurity, an area I know you have huge interest in and have been extremely active in that area. Ireland can be a world leader, and I've heard you say this yourself. To achieve this, the government must provide €1 billion ring-fenced over 10 years for cyber education and training. Clearly, with €1.5 billion surplus in the National Training Fund, this should not be a problem. There is an urgent need to increase the levels of cyber awareness among our citizens, starting with the aged and young. Government must fully fund cyber awareness training programs. Cyber training must be part of the curriculum in every school in the country, starting at third class in national schools through to Leaving Cert. The further education and training sector, led by SOLAS and ETBI, must become the lead provider in cyber skills training, and here we must see 10,000 places filled urgently. Let me turn now to search and rescue. I note a statement in the new search and rescue, the statement today, the new search and rescue contract and the additional allocation of 71 million. I do not believe that this contract is value for money, and not unlike the last contract, the suppliers boasted that the Irish contract was delivering better returns than their contracts for offshore helicopter services in the UK. I know for a fact that during the time this contract was negotiated, no minister had oversight of the contract. Why do I know that? Because the two ministers involved, Minister for Transport and the junior minister at the time, so Eamon Ryan and Hildegard Naughton, both wrote a joint letter to me to tell me they did not have first-hand sight of what's going on and they didn't really know. So we saw from the fatal crash of 116 that rushing things is not a good idea. There was to be a start date of the 1st of November for the first SAR station to be filled. Only today have they advertised for SAR commanders to help them to meet this contract. So there is no way they're going to be ready on the 1st of November, and we will have to follow that up over the next few days. Shamefully, the Irish government eliminated the Irish Air Corps from providing any part of search and rescue. It's beyond foolishness to put all of our SAR eggs in one basket. We've seen how the UK SAR service was served with a strike notice which would have crippled it if the service was to coming to an end, if the service was to be shut down. So I would like to see what will happen in the event of the SAR provider going into administration or liquidation in this country. What would happen in the event of SAR crews going on strike? What would happen in the event of the AW189 being grounded for technical reasons? My concerns, Minister, and I do commend the budget in general, it is a good budget, but my concern is the one gaping hole for a country that depends hugely on foreign direct investment. Defence is still not taken seriously, and I think we need to look at that and look at it very, very carefully. And I do appreciate your efforts on it, and I would appreciate your efforts on ring-fencing money for SAR or for cyber awareness and cyber training. Thank you,
Thank you, sir. Senator Craughwell also specifically said that there were no evacuation aircraft. My understanding is that we do have two C295 Airbus evacuation aircraft that were purchased last year for €230 million, and we have another one coming, another model of evacuation aircraft coming next year, although we are advising citizens in Lebanon to leave immediately and not to rely on evacuation. We also, there was a question about when the cost of living one-off payments are coming in. My understanding is that all of them will be paid before year end, apart from one of the electricity credits, which will be paid next year.